So today I'm going to talk to you about how you can start thinking deeper and start to learn the power of overthinking and get to a place where you start trusting your own mind over anybody else's. Anything that you do in your life will come from your own realizations and your own thoughts as opposed to what everybody else is telling you. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, how you can get to this point where you trust your own self more than anybody else, and how you can develop the skill of thinking. So, before we begin, my name is Michael, and I help young men in their early 20s get rid of their bad habits and start to replace them with better ones like entrepreneurship, meditation, journaling, and working on your health. So you can check out that link in the description to learn more. So I was thinking before I made this video, and I realized that thinking is one of the things that has honestly improved my life the most. Like, the more periods of time where I can think and figure shit out, the more like clarity I have and the more like clear things become. And like people always told me that, oh, you're an overthinker, you look too deep into things, or and that may be true. Like this thing of thinking and looking deep into things, sometimes it does get me into trouble when I have to make a decision. And so that's something that I'm working on, is being more decisive. But overall, I think that thinking and looking deep into things is one of the best things you can do for your life, because if people are telling you things, like a lot of the information that you know and the stuff that you think is true comes from what other people tell you. And where did other people get their information? From other people. Where did those other people get their information? From other people. And I think everybody's just repeating what they heard from other people. Like, I think it's important to start speaking from your own self. Like, stop speaking from a place of what other people are telling you and stop regurgitating what you've heard. Oh, well, this works because this is what this guy said, or this works because this is what this guy said. How do you know? How do you know that that's actually the truth? You don't. The only truth that you know is what you know. And I know it sounds like simple, but like I feel like I'm currently at a place where I only trust, and it sounds whatever, like arrogant or egotistical to just trust yourself, but you should be skeptical of what everybody else is telling you. Like, everybody else is influencing you, and if you always just like follow what other people are saying, then you'll never follow your own like intuition or follow your own gut. And then you're just living in a life of being pulled by everybody else. So you don't want to live that path. You don't want to live that path of just being pulled in these different directions because you'll never be satisfied because your gut's going to be telling you, no, you should be doing this. Like, listen to your gut because you should be doing this thing. Somehow, there's like a part of you that knows what's best for you. And we all ignore it. And I ignore it. But, like, every time I do follow it and trust my gut, and I actually do an activity that I trusted my gut, I never regret it. The only time I regret things is when I don't trust my gut, is when I follow what other people have said. Hopefully that like makes sense. I know it's kind of general, but to get to this point where you start trusting your own self, you have to set time aside to think. Like, I remember it's probably last year, there were periods of time where I would just like sit outside and think, like sit outside on my balcony and I would just think for about an hour, sometimes a little bit even more. And what happens when you think, you start to question things. Like thinking starts to become a sport. It becomes a game. And you start to question like really every aspect of your life. You start to question, well, why did this happen at work? Or why did those people say that? What made what made this person say that? Where did they get that information? Where did that information come from? And then the more questions you ask, and the more inquisitive you become, the closer to the truth you get. And so if you're naturally just getting closer to the truth, then you're living a life of more like authenticity. So my main point is to think deeper. And I know it sounds bad, but don't trust. Well, you can trust people, but don't blindly trust people. If they're giving you advice, if someone's giving you advice, take in, and I'm not saying not to follow the advice, I'm saying just be inquisitive, be skeptical. Like, why are they giving you this advice? Where did their perspective come from? How was that developed? Damn, my stomach just made a weird ass sound. Yeah, and if you can look, if you can start to look into situations that deep, then I think you'll find more like satisfaction of trusting your own mind and feeling more like sure of yourself, feeling more confident that you do know what to do. confident that your mind and your gut knows best. So, an action step for you is to set time every day to think and think deeper into things. So, how do you think deeper into things? You become inquisitive. And how do you become inquisitive? You ask questions. For me, a lot of the questions that I ask myself currently are like, what are the biggest things causing me trouble? What are the biggest pains in my life? Like, why did this happen? And I'm not asking it in a way of like, why did this happen to me? I'm asking it in a way of like unbiased, like truthful, analytical, like why did this happen? What like pieces aligned to make this event happen? Or like what set of actions did I do to lead me to that point? And the more like whether you're reflecting and you're looking 15 to 20 steps back in the past and the actions that you did to lead you to a certain point, or you're looking in the future, you want to look 15 steps ahead, like this type of thinking will help you out. Everybody else is going to tell you that that's just overthinking, like you're looking way too deep into things. But the people that are telling you that are telling you that because they're getting it from somebody else. They have never actually sat down and thought for a long period of time, never actually questioned anything. So I am telling you to become more skeptical, and you'll find that like like I said, you're going to start trusting your own self more. You're going to know that the decisions that you're making are the right ones. You're going to know that you're on the right path. And maybe you're not. Like, maybe you're, like, say you're following your gut, and in an overview, it's not the right path. Like, at least you're trusting yourself, and, like, say this path took you to a place you didn't want to be, you'll still, you'll still learn from it, and you still will get to the right path. Because then I think, yeah, I think your gut will like align you to the right place eventually. But if you're trusting the path that everybody else is telling you, oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should go to college. Like, where is everybody getting their information? They're getting it from other people. And I mean, that's true. We all get our information from other people, but be skeptical. Don't just blindly trust things. You should trust yourself the most. your intuition knows more than anybody else knows. Like, you know what's best for you more than anybody else knows what's best for you. Think about it. Like, it just, that makes the most sense. So, yeah, start to think more freely, start to become more skeptical, and you'll find that you're just going to start trusting yourself more. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. And again, if you'd be interested, check out that link in the description to start getting rid of your bad habits. Thanks.